You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to another episode of Wayback Wednesday. I'm your host, Randy Adcox. Glad you could join us tonight. Got a lot of ground to cover, a lot of pictures to share with you tonight, and we're going to get to all that shortly. But first of all, I wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving Eve. Hope everybody has a safe and eventful and get a chance to eat a lot of turkey tomorrow. Also, I'm working on trying to get some original pics. A couple of you have asked about some pictures that are either of you or family members and so forth. And even though I've got the ones that I share on the show, I'm trying to get the originals for a couple of those. So bear with me. I've reached out to some people that may have access to the originals of these pictures. And if I can get my hands on those, I will make copies of those for you. In the meantime, just be aware I've got myself notes all over my desk, so I won't forget this. Also want to send a shout out and a thanks to Sam Taylor. Sam was in my shop today and kind of gave me a lead. I have not had a chance to pursue it yet, but I will. We've talked in past shows about the many photographers that have worked for the Telegram over the years, and certainly Bugs Behringer and Charlie Killebrew topped that list. But we've also shown pictures and we're going to share some tonight too from Larry Tucker. And we talked about Al Rabel. I got another name today from Sam Taylor, of another photographer who worked for the Telegram for many years. And so, as I said, I just found out about him today. So I appreciate the tip, Sam. I will be working on that, trying to find some pictures from this other photographer, and we'll share those with you probably on next week's show. And while I'm on the topic, if you have any pictures that you'd like to share with the viewers, let me know. You can email me, randy@csorm.com. You can text me or call me, 252-883-1123. Some folks have actually sent stuff here to the station. That's fine too. I just put an envelope and address it to my attention and I'll get it. But if you have any old artifacts or pictures, anything like these things would be of interest to the viewers, please get them to us and we'll put them on the show and we'll share. We'll get them back to you, obviously. Certainly any pictures we can make copies of and give you the originals back. And anything else, we'll take pictures of that and give you the original back, of course, of that too. So I always appreciate the contributions from you, the viewer. It's what makes my job more interesting for me. And so always welcome. Okay, today is Wednesday, November the 24th. As I said, it's Thanksgiving Eve. So without further ado, we'll get back right into the pictures. The first picture tonight is actually a picture of Larry Tucker. I had been hunting trying to find a picture of this gentleman. We've shown this picture for a couple of weeks now, or some of them anyway, and today I, purely by luck, stumbled across a photograph that appeared in the Telegram of Larry Tucker from May of 1967. So Lee, when you get a moment, throw that up on the screen there. And the majority of the pictures tonight that I'm going to share with you, there you go, there's Mr. Larry Tucker. And he actually won an award. This was in May of 1967, and he won an award dealing with photography. I don't know exactly what the award was. Lee, I don't know. See if you can zoom in on that. I printed a lot of these pictures also. I could read the caption. This is one I did not print off, and I'm not sure that it will be legible if we do zoom in on it, but we'll try and see. It kind of reminds me of, I may have mentioned to you before, I know I did in fact, my grandfather worked for Rocky Mountain Mills for about 41 years, and when he retired, he was given I don't know if it's sterling silver or stainless steel. There you go. Even Telegram staff photographer Larry Tucker is shown here, proudly displaying the trophy presented to him this weekend for winning the Southern Short Course in News Photography. This was the second straight year Tucker has won the award. So, and if you kind of pan up to the top of the image there, Lee, it looks like a kind of a, as I said, a sterling silver maybe, or either a stainless steel. There you go. It's bold anyway, and very, very much reminiscent of the one that my grandfather was awarded when he left Rocky Mountain Mills after 41 years of service. I can't say I ever knew Mr. Larry Tucker, but there you go. But in any case, he was with the Telegram for, oh golly, probably a dozen years or so. I started seeing his pictures from late 50s, early 60s, I think it was, and up through the late 60s. So 10 years or so anyway, he took pictures for the Rocky Mount Telegram. Don't know where he went from there. Not even sure he's still with us today. But anyway, that was Mr. Larry Tucker. So this next picture is one I stumbled across, and we talked about this briefly on the show. For those of you that watch the show regularly, you know here a few months ago we talked about big band leader Bo Thorpe from Rocky Mount. And of all the accolades that he was awarded and all the awards he won, everything as a band leader and big band leader all across the United States. He was also in the military. He was in Vietnam, in fact. And in March of 1966, he actually came back to Rocky Mount for a visit. And this picture, and I'm going to read this little bit of article here. It appeared in the Rocky Mount Telegram on the 23rd of March, 1966. And it says, Captain H.B., in parentheses, Bo Thorpe, Rocky Mount officer who has been in the thick of things in Vietnam for the last 8 months, is making a flying trip home this weekend. His mother is planning an open house Sunday afternoon, so as many friends in the area may have a chance to talk with him. Mrs. H. Benton Thorpe, the captain's mother, said that the first words she had had of her son had been given a brief rest period from the Vietnam battles came when he telephoned her from Puerto Rico, where his wife and family live. Captain and Mrs. Thorpe and their 2 children are flying from Puerto Rico to Fort Benning, Georgia, and will drive from there to Rocky Mount. Time of Captain Thorpe's arrival in Rocky Mount has not been definitively ascertained, but his mother said that she had arranged for the open house between 4 to 6 p.m. Sunday at the Thorpe home at 722 Hill Street. More than 500 letters were sent to Captain Thorpe last Christmas by local friends who heard as how he wouldn't be able to send any Christmas cards because the Viet Congs had shot him through his writing arm. Attached to the 1st Cavalry Division Air Mobile, Captain Thorpe has been in 25 combat missions and has earned a host of medals, including the Purple Heart. He has been in Vietnam since last August and will go right back to war after his brief visit to Rocky Mount. So, as I said before, we talked about the fact that he was in the military and had, in fact, been to Vietnam. I did not realize he had been injured in Vietnam, however. He was shot through the hand, it says. And but anyway, he came back to Rocky Mount for a visit in March of 1966, and apparently a lot of folks came out to visit. I didn't get any pictures of the visit and so forth, but a lot of folks did come to pay their respects and to chat with him while he was home. Okay, Lee, let's go ahead into the next picture if you could. This next picture is similar to one we've shared in the past, and apparently this was an ongoing thing where some of the local car dealerships would have competitions, and this particular one took place in May of 1967, and I'll read the caption for you here. It says, top student mechanics Samuel Forte and James C. Williams, 2nd and 3rd from the left respectively, took top honors in Chrysler troubleshooting contest in Raleigh Saturday. Looking on from left to right are R.D. Armstrong, Forte, William, Horace Parker, and Emmanuel Thompson. I'm not certain, but I believe this Horace Parker is the same one that I've known for many years. In fact, he recently passed away. He was an electrician in Rocky Mount for a number of years. I'm not positive, but I think this is the same gentleman. It looks like a much younger version of the man that I knew, but if it's the same one, he did pass away within the last year, and he was in his 80s, I think, when he passed away. But anyway, this was from May of 1967, and these 2 young fellows won, looks like top awards for a competition in mechanic class. So there you go. Okay, all right. This next, go ahead and lead to the next one if you would. This is actually from a dedication ceremony that took place in April of 1967, and many of you will recognize the gentleman there in the lower right-hand corner. That's A.C. Davis, also known as Uncle Sam here for the local community for many, many years. And this was the dedication of the bandstand down at Brazel Park, down there behind the old Parkview Hospital on McDonald Street and Franklin Street. And as you can see, there's Mayor John Menges there to the left. And it says Mayor Menges is shown presenting the bandstand dedication plaque to A.C. Uncle Sam Davis Wednesday. The bandstand was dedicated to Uncle Sam for his patriotic service, local, state, and nationally. The award was presented during dedication ceremonies at Brazel Park. Looking on or left to right, Henry Henson, Joe Warner, Russell Brazel, and Mickey Dawson Jr. You know, this park has a lot of rich history, and I didn't realize there was a really neat article that accompanied this photograph when this picture appeared. And like I said, this was from April of 1967. April 20th was when this picture appeared. And it was a really nice article that appeared with the photograph. And I'm going to read a little bit of it here. Like I said, it's several columns in length. I'm not going to try to read the whole thing. But basically what happened was they raised money. It was a private effort to raise money to restore the park and to build that bandstand. And Mr. Davis had a relative that used to own the land. In fact, the plaque says it was inscribed with, it says, presented to Uncle Sam, I'm apologizing there because this part of the article was kind of blurred out, so I can't even hardly read this. It was really messed up when it got reproduced. But Uncle Sam replied, he said, I just want to say that this land, the park was originally owned by my great-great-great-grandfather, Isaac Ricks. I'm most happy to accept this. But in any case, this park goes back to the early 1800s, and I didn't realize that it was that old. There's reference to, in this article, there's reference to when the railroad first came through here in the 1830s. People would walk through this park going down to what they at that time called Old Rocky Mount, down there by the falls and so forth. So, you know, I knew this park had been here many years, but I had no idea that history went back as far as it did. So it's interesting. It's a neat article there. If anyone would like to read the article, let me know and I'll get you a copy of it. But as I said, the copy is not really good. It's kind of grainy and it's got some blotches on it, so it's kind of a little bit hard to read. But there's enough there you can read to make out what it's talking about. It is interesting. Okay, Lee, so if we could then, let's go on into the next picture. And this was something pretty neat to me because I recognize some of the people in this picture. In 1964, this picture appeared. In fact, it was in September of 1964. And basically, the caption refers to this organization called the Carolina Airmen's Association. And the caption reads, officers of the newly formed Carolina Airmen's Association are shown at organizational meeting left to right, J.B. Williams, first vice president, Millard T. Bailey, second vice president, William Walsh, president, and Carol Spencer, secretary treasurer. Now, if some of these names sound familiar to you, there's reason for that. J.B. Williams is still with Air Care to this day. He's in his, late 80s, if not early 90s. In fact, I understand that Air Care has been sold, and JB, I think, is finally going to take a much-needed retirement break. But, of course, JB is brothers with the Williams fellows who ran Williams Foods, a grocery store down there on the corner of, Church Street and, it's Grand Avenue on the other side of the railroad tracks. But before you cross railroad tracks, I guess that's Gray Street there. But anyway, Williams Foods was the J.B. Williams family. His father started the business, and J.B. and his brother Joe and Bill, they run that business. J.B. kind of let the other brothers run the business, and he ventured off as a pilot for many, many years. He was Don Stallings' personal pilot for many years. And I think probably within the last, 5 or 7, 8 maybe years, I think he finally stopped flying. But he did fly for many years and flew Don Stallings all over the place. But anyway, this is a neat article, and again, it's kind of long. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I read a little bit about what this was about. It says, 23 men who are interested in various phases of aviation met here last night and formed the Carolina Airmen's Association. One of its goals was listed as that of helping to preserve the Rocky Mount Flight Service Station in its present form. Keep in mind, this is September 1964. This was before the Rocky Mount Wilson Airport up there was developed. It says William Walsh was elected president of the group. J.B. Williams was the first vice president. Millard T. Bailey The second vice president, by the way, Miller T. Bailey, I'm almost certain is of the Bailey Motors family, the big truck dealership out on 301. And this is Carol Spencer was the Secretary Treasurer. The purpose of this association was set forth as follows: a community service organization formed to encourage and foster the continued growth of general aviation in eastern North Carolina, to promote safety and welfare of the public by aggressive action to preserve public aviation facilities. The immediate objective of this association is to preserve the Rocky Mount Flight Service Station, a valuable community asset, in its present form and size, and additionally to encourage the installation of facilities in communities not presently being served. Members of the association include professional pilots, businessmen pilots, private pilots, and other interested aviation personnel. So this was an effort, and it lists some of the other local people who were involved with this. H. Revis Nelson, Billy G. Daughtridge, Dr. John Hartness, H. Ray Matthews, John L. Collins, Jr., Robert Bennett, Dr. Albert Hedgepeth, Reese Bailey, Millard Bailey, E.F. Pullen, Larry Battle, M.A. Biggs, William Walsh, R.L. Phillips, Ellis Phillips, Don Stallings, Edward Pullen, Dr. Paul Lyon, Dr. David Stroud, Sam Toller, J.B. Williams Jr., Charlie Killebrew, and Carol Spencer. So these guys got together and started this organization. I don't think it's still in existence. Maybe someone knows more about this and can shed some light on it. This was the first I'd ever heard about this organization, and I really was kind of surprised to know that it was ever in existence. I've not heard anything about it prior to stumbling across this article today, and so my guess is it probably just the need for it kind of fizzled out over the years, and there was no more need to keep it going, so it probably just kind of disbanded and everybody went their separate ways. But it was a noble effort by some very dedicated people to keep an aviation presence in Rocky Mount and to keep interest in local aviation strong amongst the local citizens. Okay, I'll tell you what, it looks like this is a good time as any to take our first commercial break. So Lee, I'll tell you what, go ahead and carry us to a break. And folks, if you've got to get yourselves a little snack or a bathroom break, go ahead and take care of a little business right there. And we'll be right back in a few minutes with more Wayback Wednesday. Don't go anywhere.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family. And we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
Are you suffering from Medicare and Medicare supplement confusion? As you prepare to turn 65, I'm sure you're already bombarded by Medicare supplement mailings and phone calls, as well as information regarding your annual enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th, which is the time of year you have the opportunity to change your Medicare plan. Don't be frustrated. Don't stay confused. Call Gus Tellis. He can get you into the right plan that will work best for your needs. The annual enrollment period deadline is fast approaching, so don't wait. Call today and get the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're covered.
Call me today, 252-937-6913.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
We're back. Folks, for just tuning in, you're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcock, so glad you could join us. Before the break, we were talking about the Carolina Airmen Association and just a group of local aviation enthusiasts, including pilots and so forth, who put together this group to further and to preserve the aviation presence in Rocky Mount. Needless to say, these gentlemen were very instrumental, I'm sure, in getting the Rocky Mount Wilson Airport brought here and established, and keeping a presence of aviation in Rocky Mount, both commercial and private aviation. So, great contribution there by some very, very civic-minded individuals. You know, in most of these pictures, by the way, tonight we're sharing with you are from the 1960s. Just coincidentally, there's no particular order, but they're all from roughly 64 to 67 or 68. And it just happened to be that's how I found them when I was going through the newspapers.com website today. And this next picture is one from November, about this time of year, November of 1965, when the city of Rocky Mount had just begun putting up their Christmas decorations downtown Rocky Mount. It's not the best quality picture, so I'll apologize again about the quality of this picture, but it kind of reminds me of what I remember downtown Rocky Mount being like at Christmas time. And as I said, I don't think they do anywhere near. I've not been down there in the last few days and looked to see what they've got up now. But this caption here, and you can probably read it on your screen, but I'll read it anyway. It says, "City workmen began putting up Rocky Mount's Christmas decorations on Main Street Wednesday as the 1965 Yule season approaches. This is a view looking north into 100 block of Northwest Main Street, where ropes of silver tinsel lead to the overhead center of the street, where a tinsel Christmas tree surrounds a large candlestick." And so, you know, this obviously it took these guys a while to get these decorations up and installed and wired up for lights and so forth. And I hate to think that it's just too much effort now to do this. And as I said, I've not been downtown to see what's down there now. I may try to get down there one day this week when it gets dark enough to see what everything looks like down there now. But over the last several years, I don't remember decorations being like this when I would have the occasion to ride downtown Rocky Mount. So maybe we can get some of these really neat old school type Christmas decorations back in place in downtown Rocky Mount. I'd like to see it come back to this style of decorations anyway. Okay, so as I said, that was November 1965. This next picture is actually from November of 1964. It's a year earlier. As I said earlier, there's no particular order to these pictures tonight. They're just as I found them going through the newspaper.com website. I would just flag them and set them and pull them down and on my computer anyway, and put them into the grouping. This picture here is actually from, as I said, November of '64, and it's the Gorham School crossing. And this young fellow here, it says, shown guiding fellow classmates at a school crosswalk at Gorham Elementary School is schoolboy patrolman Dennis Baker. You know, this struck me as kind of odd because it was commonplace back in the 60s, obviously, for there to be students at these schools who participated as crossing guards and so forth, and you know, stationed at the crosswalks before school in the morning and after school in the afternoon. But you know, it just kind of, this is something that you probably wouldn't see today. I don't know how old this young fella is. He looks to be maybe 10 or 11 years old, but he looks awful young to have such a daunting task as to ensure the safety of his fellow classmates. And I'm sure he did a great job, but it just, you know, it's kind of another remembrance of days gone by where, you know, today someone would say, well, this, you know, this is unsafe. It's not, we need to have more, you know, more mature crosswalks and crossing guards and so forth. But in 1964, this little fella here was doing a bang-up job helping make sure his fellow classmates made it safely across the street by the school there. And this, again, from Gorham School, November 1964. Okay, if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, we talked about Hardee's Food Systems put a restaurant in Heidelberg, Germany. And that was news to me. I didn't remember hearing about that when it actually happened. But ironically, while they were busily getting a new restaurant established and built in Heidelberg, Germany, they were actually at the same time building a brand new facility here in Rocky Mount, what would eventually become the main corporate headquarters for Hardee's worldwide right here in Rocky Mount on Church Street. So Lee, if you would, let's go ahead and pull up the next picture. And this picture is from December of 1965, to be more specific, December 21st. And I'll read the caption here to you. It says, Hardee's groundbreaking. This was the scene in City Industrial Park Monday morning as officials at Hardee's Food Service Incorporated broke ground for a new headquarters complex for a limited menu drive-in restaurant chain. Left to right in this photo are Rocky Mount Mayor John T. Menges, Russell Sorrell, Hardee's architect, James C. Gardner Jr., Executive Vice President of Hardee's, Leonard Rawls, firm president, H.H. Strandberg, President of the Rocky Mount Chamber of Commerce, and Wilbur Rose, Director of the Nash County Industrial Commission. The large billboard heralds the building scheduled for 1966 summer occupancy across 301 from Municipal Airport. So in December 21st, to be specific, December 21st, 1965, they began breaking ground, and you see there on the billboard, it's got kind of an artist's conception picture of the Hardee's corporate office as it would eventually appear out there on 301 across from the airport. Now, this was December 21st, 1965. If you would, Lee, let's go to the next picture, which was literally 9 days later. This was Heidelberg, Germany, December the 30th, 1965, and this restaurant was preparing to open. And it says, here's a picture of Hardee's Food Systems' new building in Heidelberg, Germany. It's constructed of red and white, I don't know what TOLE, some kind of building material, red and white tole, plate glass, aluminum, and stainless steel, a design Hardee's uses in many American units. For those that are familiar with and remember the Hardee's, the number one Hardee's here in Rocky Mount, down there by the old public library, this was very similar to the design that was there. In later years, they would enclose it and what didn't have this overhang as this one does here. But this was very much like the restaurant as it originally appeared down on Church Street here in Rocky Mount. But this was in Heidelberg, Germany. And as I said, this restaurant was actually built and operating before the main corporate building over on Church Street here in Rocky Mount was even built. So a little bit of trivia there in history with Hardee's Food Systems and restaurants and their global footprint. I'm not sure how many other countries Hardee's eventually would be in. I seem to recall here that they were in Japan. I know McDonald's was in Japan, and I seem to recall hearing about Hardee's there too, but I'm sure they were probably in Great Britain and several other countries too over time. But anyway, okay, Lee, if you could then, let's go to the next picture. And this is this young fella here in the center of the picture. Keep an eye on him. And I'll read the caption to you. It says, Jeff Collins, vice presidential candidate for the student council at Wilkinson School, is shown doing some serious campaign talking to his constituents during elections at the school recently. He was one of a number of candidates in the city schools learning firsthand the way American politics works. Jeff won incidentally. So if that name rings a bell to you, it's because Mr. Jeff Collins, young Mr. Jeff Collins, I should say, went on to pursue politics well beyond his elementary school days at Wilson School. And in fact, the next picture is one that many of you may remember. Mr. Jeff Collins later ran for and would actually receive a seat in the North Carolina House of Representatives and held that seat for about 10 years, I think from 2010 to 2019 when he finally decided not to run for re-election. But I thought it was neat that he started his political career running for vice president at Wilson School in 1964 and parlayed that run into a run in the North Carolina House of Representatives many years later. How about that? Okay, let's go ahead and lead into the next picture. And this next one, many of you recognize this fellow from the picture a few pictures ago. This is Jim Gardner, of course, and he's holding up his V for Victory, and it says 4th District Republican Congressman-elect James C. Gardner, Jr. displays his V for Victory in campaign headquarters while making his victory statement. With him is his wife, Marie. You know, Jim Gardner has been a very influential leader in Rocky Mount for many years. I've had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Gardner and speaking with him on a couple of occasions. He's a really nice guy. I think the world of him. I've got a lot of respect for the man. He's probably been through as many ups and downs in the business world as anybody you could think of. And by his own admission, some of his business ventures didn't go as well as he planned, and some went very well. But in 1966, he won this 4th Congressional District seat, and in case you don't remember that far back, the gentleman that he beat to win this seat was none other than Mr. Harold Cooley from Nashville. That's right, Jim Gardner beat Harold Cooley to win the seat in the North Carolina House of Representatives in November of 1966. Now, 1966 was a year for some fairly stunning victories all across the nation, certainly here in North Carolina. Harold Cooley was a well-established politician, had beaten Jim Gardner in the prior election. But this was a major turnaround here, and Jim Gardner had a fairly sound thumping, in fact, of Harold Cooley in this election. Beat him handily. But there was another election that took place in 1966 on the West Coast, where an actor that had gained his fame on the big screen decided to run for governor. And Lee, if you would, let's put the next picture up on the screen. And this fella here actually ran for and became the governor of California. And I did not find a picture. I found this article, and I couldn't believe there was not a picture with the article. So we all know what Ronald Reagan looks like. And I'll read a little bit of this for you here. It says, Ronald Reagan, a television star less than a year ago, swept to the governorship of California, and a place in the national political picture as mounting returns today thrust him toward a 1 million vote victory over Democrat Governor Edmund Brown. With 20,000 precincts reporting, the vote was Reagan 2,317,318 to Brown's 1,699,328. The Reagan victory helped Robert Finch, Richard M. Nixon's 1960 presidential campaign manager, to victory over two-term Lieutenant Governor Glenn Anderson, the Democrat. The GOP also made inroads into the state's Democratic congressional majority, which was 24 to 14 going to the election. Governor Brown conceded the defeat at 10:15 p.m. Pacific time. Reagan told a ballroom full of cheering followers, "It is no narrow partisan victory. We had friends from the other party and independents. Partisanship ends as of today. Now the big job begins." He called it the day we restored the two-party system in California. You know, at this time, Ronald Reagan was 55 years old, and he obviously went on to become President of the United States in later years. In many people's minds, and you know, everybody's got a different opinion about politics, but he's remembered today as being one of, if not one of the best presidents in the history of the United States. We didn't always agree with everything he did or said, but there's wide consensus that he will go down in history as one of the best presidents this country ever had. Whether you agree with that or not is certainly your prerogative, but a lot of people think that anyway. Okay, Lee, let's go, if we could, then to the next picture. And I've shown a similar picture to this one before. Some of you may recognize it, some of you may not. This picture was actually taken inside the Moose Lodge over on Country Club Drive, and that big fireplace is still there. And in 1965, December 65, there was an annual Christmas party held at the Moose Lodge, and the local, it says Legion of the Moose sponsored it, and it says here, the annual Christmas party for Children of Moose Club members, sponsored by the Legion of the Moose, was held Sunday afternoon at the Moose Lodge. Some of the children are shown here with Santa before the huge fireplace at the Moose Lodge. Santa arrived from the North Pole and distributed gifts to the nearly 100 children. Entertainment for the afternoon was provided by students of Margaret's School of Dance from Tarboro and Rocky Mount, under the direction of Miss Bobby Jo Collins, instructor. If I'm not mistaken, this Bobby Jo Collins, I believe she ran a dance studio out behind the old Terrytown Mall many, many years ago. I think it's the same one. If you remember, on the side of Terrytown where the dollar store used to be, and now I think it's Habitat for Humanity's moved in there, but there was a whole kind of strip little plaza there that ran back down toward Mason's on that side of the mall back there. And there were some offices back there, I think some insurance offices and so forth, and there was a dance studio back there. And the only reason I know about it is because I used to ride my bike back there to go fishing on Stony Creek, and I would ride by that little dance studio back there. And I remember they always had trophies in the window from the girls' events they had participated in and won trophies. And I think, and don't quote me, I could be wrong, but I think that little dance studio back there was run by Miss Bobby Jo Collins, I think. But anyway, this was from 1965, and I had the occasion to go into Moose Lodge not too long ago. It's been, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago now. And this fireplace is huge. I mean, you can almost walk up inside a thing and stand. That's how big it is. Santa's sitting down in this chair here, but he could almost stand up inside that fireplace. That's how big it is. All right, Lee, bring it back to me. I think we're time for our next commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to show you some more pictures. We're going to talk a little bit more about some historical things and historical people. And so if you need to take another break, now's a good time to do that. But don't stay long, because we won't be long. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday.
Sponsored by Floors Glass and Mirror Company. Servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family. And we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
Are you suffering from Medicare and Medicare supplement confusion? As you prepare to turn 65, I'm sure you're already bombarded by Medicare supplement mailings and phone calls, as well as information regarding your annual enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th, which is the time of year you have the opportunity to change your Medicare plan. Don't be frustrated. Don't stay confused. Call Gus Tellis. He can get you into the right plan that will work best for your needs. The annual enrollment period deadline is fast approaching, so don't wait. Call today and get the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're covered.
Call me today, 252-937-6913.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flora's Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
We're back, folks. You're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcox. Glad you could be with us tonight. As I said at the top of the show, there was no particular rhyme or reason or even a theme, if you will, to tonight's show. It's just a combination, a collection, if you will, of pictures that I found. You've heard me mention the newspapers.com website. I've become quite addicted to that site. I can easily spend 8 or 10 hours at a time if I'm not careful. It's just a really neat walk through history. You can go and you can do a search. The way this website works is you can search from 3 or 4 different categories. You can do a search by a topic, a name, for example, or a place. You can search by location. You can search from a time frame. And so what I typically do is go in and type in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and like for today I put in like 1960 to 1970. And I searched specifically for a phrase, photos by Tucker. And that immediately brought back a ton of responses that all included the phrase, photo by Tucker. And if you'll notice at the bottom of most of these pictures, it'll say photo by Tucker or photo by Killebrew, photo by Behringer, or whatever. And so sometimes when it brings back a photo by Tucker, for example, it may be a picture I don't particularly care to share with the viewers, either because it's not a good quality picture or it doesn't really have any relationship to what we're going to talk about. But sometimes on that page there'll be other pictures. And those other pictures may be some that Charlie Killebrew took, or Al Rabel, or Bugs Behringer. So typically what you're seeing is just a collection, tonight anyway, is just a collection of pictures that I found while I was just looking for pictures that I had initiated a search by Tucker. So anyway, with that being said, let's go ahead, Lee, and jump back into them. I think we're at picture number, 15 now? Yeah, number 15. And this is actually a picture that I had not seen before. And it caught my eye for a couple of reasons. Number one, this young lady here, Ann Myrick from Nashville. Some of you may know her. I can't say that I did. It's from 1965, obviously. But she entered in the Miss Rocky Mount pageant. And there's nothing wrong with that. Certainly people from other cities have entered in other cities' beauty pageants. And so she's a very attractive young lady and had every right to enter into the contest. I don't think she won. I don't know who did win that year, but I don't recall hearing her name as being a winner. But the thing that jumped out about this picture to me was that, if I'm not mistaken, it was taken from on top of the People's Bank building. If you look real close, you can see over her, would be her right shoulder and her left shoulder too, for that matter. There's the little sculpture, kind of little hills and bumps there, that I believe are the ones that are on the top lining the People's Bank building down on Main Street. And it looks like across way in the far left-hand background there, across the street, is Planters Bank. So I think this picture was taken with a photographer and her both being, of course, on top of the People's Bank building. and she was facing roughly east, the photographer was facing roughly west, and it's not a really good quality picture, and as I said before, a lot of these photographs that appear in this newspapers.com website, they were probably clearer in the original newspaper when the picture came out in that newspaper that year. And again, this was from, February 1965. I'm sure the original picture was probably much better quality than this, but there's a phrase, and I forgot how it's worded, but it has to do with every time you save a picture in a digital format, the more times you save it, you kind of lose some of the quality and some of the clarity. And so, as I said, I'm sure it's not as clear now as it was when it first appeared in a telegram back so many years ago. But you can still make out some buildings. There's a church steeple there on the left-hand side, the far left-hand corner of the building. It looks like I said, some of the buildings up and down Main Street there in the kind of the foreground. And if you look down there in the immediate foreground, it looks like some gravel there. And again, I think that's the gravel on top of the People's Bank building. And, it used to be pretty commonplace. I've seen a lot of photographs where parades, for example, there people would get on top of the buildings and watch a parade, or there would be some kind of event going on downtown Rocky Mount, and there'd be people standing on top of the bank buildings. That was before everybody got so conscientious about safety and being sued from someone falling off or getting pushed off the top of the building. So you would have a hard time now getting permission to even go up on any of these roofs. I tried, in fact, to get permission to go up on top of this very bank, People's Bank, and met a stone wall. That was just not going to happen. In so many words, I was told, no, you're not getting on our roof. So anyway, but back in the 60s, it was pretty commonplace, and this young lady here managed to get her picture taken with a neat view of Rocky Mount behind her from the rooftop of People's Bank. So there you go. Okay, Lee, let's go to the next picture then. And this was from also 1965, and it was, yes, it was. This was the 64, I misspoke, 1964. And this caught my eye for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't even know if banks still do this. Many of you remember the old Christmas clubs at the banks. Every bank in Rocky Mount used to have a Christmas club. And it would start on January 1, and you could go put $1 a week in, or $5 a week, or every paycheck, whatever you wanted to contribute to the Christmas club. It was a savings account. And at the end of the year, around November, 1st of December, you go to the bank and you would draw out whatever money you had managed to put in there, plus a little bit of interest, of course, because it was a savings account, and you would use that money to do your Christmas shopping with. And some of the younger people don't remember this, I'm sure, and my kids don't have any idea that anything like this ever existed. And I don't think banks still do it today, and that's a shame, because unfortunately there's not a lot of focus on the benefits and in fact the need to save for a rainy day. It seems that the generations that have come and gone were much more aware of and much more attuned to the benefits of saving, whether it was saving for something like a Christmas club, or saving to buy that car you wanted or that house you wanted. Now we seem to be a society of I gotta have it right now. But this was a party that took place in November 1964, and of course the public was invited. And by the way, there was a neat article that accompanied this particular ad. And in 1964, the local banks handed out, I think it was like $1.6 million that they handed out as a result of people saving in their Christmas club. So all year, throughout the year of 1964, people were going to these banks and putting money in their little savings account, Christmas club account. And then when it come time to draw that money out, there was a collective, I think it was $1.6 million that was handed out. So, like a substantial amount of money. Not everybody had a large return, obviously, depending on what you put in there throughout the year. But it was something that was very, very much participated in throughout the city. This party took place on Monday night, November 16th from 7 till 8:30. And you could pick up your Christmas club checks for cash or deposit. And you could open up a brand new 1965 Christmas Savings Club. And it said, remember, everyone is invited. Join the party at our Main Street office, refreshments and favors for all, the place to bank in Rocky Mount. I remember that logo used to appear on my report cards when I was in school, particularly elementary school, and Planters Bank used to provide the jackets for the report cards, and I remember seeing that logo on report cards. So a bit of a throwback there too, and a couple things that kind of flash some old memories for me. Okay, let's go to the next picture then. Picture number 17 actually has some indirect relations to another picture we showed earlier. This picture, I'll read the caption for you first and I'll explain what I'm talking about. It says, "Brr, it's spring. Spring officially drizzled into Rocky Mount at 3:05 p.m. Saturday. The same time, Paula Thompson saw the home savings time and temperature sign registering 35 degrees. Winter's last day was cloudy and full of showers. 2 hours after spring blew in, Paula, 18, a Rocky Mount Senior High School senior, put her umbrella away to enjoy spring's first sunshine." Paula Thompson is actually married to Joe Williams. Joe Williams, of course, is J.B. Williams' brother. And some of you may remember Paula's brother, she had two brothers in fact, Bubba Thompson, local Rocky Mount builder, and Wyatt Thompson, who I went to school with. Both Bubba and Paula are a few years older than I am. But I'd not seen this picture of Paula before, but I immediately recognized her. And I don't know if she's ever seen this picture either, frankly. She may have seen it when it came out in 1965. But Paula worked for a long time at one of the local banks. I'm not sure which one now, that escapes me. But I knew their whole family, really great folks. Her parents were Ray and Larice Thompson, and Larice used to work at car drugs at Terrytown Mall. Ray worked in radio, and oh golly, very, very colorful life, and really great folks all the way around. Okay, let's go to the next picture then. This next one just made me laugh out loud when I saw this picture. And I had a lot of respect for Mayor John Menzies, and I certainly don't want to defame in any way him or his name. But just coincidentally, this picture appeared in March of 1966 in the Rocky Mount Telegram, and the top caption there says, "View from the top. For one of the Sunset Park monkeys, his perch high atop the monkey house certainly gives him a view from the penthouse. Warm spring days indicate it won't be long before he will once again become one of the main attractions at the popular city zoo." So many of you remember when the monkey cage was at the children's zoo out there at Sunset Park, and the monkeys were in there. But the fact that they just had the monkey above and then the mayor below, I don't know, it just kind of made me chuckle. I'm sure there was no message intended there, but just the monkey and the mayor, I guess, I don't know, something about it just kind of made me chuckle. But you know, Mayor Menzies had a good long run as mayor in Rocky Mount. I don't think he was quite as in their office as long as Fred Turnage was, but for many years, John Menzies was mayor in Rocky Mount. I had the honor of meeting John Menzies and doing some work for him, in fact, many, many years ago. And I always had a lot of respect for him as well. Nice gentleman. Okay, Lee, if we could, then let's go to the next one. And this next picture is one that I had forgotten about. This took place in August of 1967. And some of you may remember when Terrytown Mall caught fire, and there was quite extensive damage. There was an article that accompanied these pictures, and I'll read the article first, a little bit of it anyway, and then I'll show you a few more pictures. But it says, "Damage is heavy in 7 businesses, others hit 2. It's the worst fire we've had in Rocky Mount in a long, long time," said City Manager Bill Batcher. Batcher was referring to the fire at Terrytown Mall, which did extensive damage to 6 stores and a barbershop. At a late hour today, the fire had been brought under control by Rocky Mount firemen, and volunteer firemen from Nash and Edgecombe counties. Fire Chief W.P. James reported the fire, which burned out of control for more than an hour, apparently started in Pickwick's gift shop. It spread to the ceiling and then into other portions of the mall. The exact cause or an estimate of damage was not available at press time. The chief said he had all his trucks, and with the exception of one, still on the scene at 10 a.m. At one time, the fire was almost under control, James said, but a portion of the roof on the east side collapsed and the fire began to burn out of control again. Stores damaged by the fire are Kaufman Wallace, Kenny's Shoe Store, the Char Steak Restaurant, Richard's Hairstyling, Hickory Farms, Pickwick's, and Terrytown Barbershop. Fred Edwards, used to cut my hair by the way, Fred Edwards, manager of the barbershop, said he suffered heavy water and smoke damage, and the 3 barbers there would move to Lancaster's barbershop until the shop can reopen. So, as you can see in these pictures here, there was in the article, in fact, implied it was a fairly significant blaze with a lot of damage throughout the mall, as much smoke and water damage as was fire damage. 6 or 7 stores heavily damaged. This particular scene you're looking at right here says an aerial ladder truck flanked by cherry pickers are used to get a fireman up over the roof in the firefighting effort at Terrytown Shopping Center this morning. A major fire that started around 7:30 a.m. swept through a section of the Terrytown Mall area and left extensive damage. And so the next picture, Lee, is actually just another. You can go into that next one now if you would. Okay. I forgot we had this one too. This is one I did not print off so I could read, but anyway, just you can see they're still fighting the fire. And then the last one, if you would, Lee, we'll go ahead and get to that last one too. This last one shows, it says salvaging Terrytown merchandise. Owners and employees of stores at Terrytown Shopping Center worked to salvage merchandise from smoke and fire damage as an extensive fire inflicted major damage to the modern shopping complex here this morning. This tie rack is being rushed from Kaufman Wallace men's clothing store. Several stores were damaged by fire and smoke, but no estimate of loss has been announced. So, you know, this was in 1967, obviously. Terrytown Mall came back from this fire. It rebuilt bigger and better, so to speak, and operated for many, many years. And then sadly, in 1999, Hurricane Floyd came through and drove the final and devastating nail into the coffin of Terrytown Mall. Sad day for all of us when Terrytown closed. I had so many fond memories of that mall and the stores that were out there. And it's a shame that it couldn't be salvaged, but the damage from Floyd was just too great and just no way to bring it back. So hence, no more Terrytown Mall in Rocky Mount. Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. We've run slam out of time. I want to thank you all so much for being with us tonight. And again, if you've got pictures you want to share with us, you know, get in touch with me. You can email me, randy@csorm.com. You can call me or text me at 252-883-1123. You can drop them all here at the station, or you can call if I'm not here, 407-1111. Look forward to seeing your pictures and look forward to being with you next week. Have a great Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, folks. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you next week with more Wayback Wednesday. Good night.